What's up, YouTube? Welcome to the Coffee Pot. My name is Zed.
Drink the coffee, it'll make you feel better.
So guys, we've got a pretty interesting video here. So this is one of those divorce TikTok diaries of a woman sharing her experience going through a divorce. This lady in particular is trying to prove to the courts that her ex-husband is abusive. And so we have our typical stuff here that we usually see, right? Here's a video of her sitting down in a fetal position on her bed. Check it out for yourself. All right, I'm going to read what she left there in the caption. Keep in mind that she actually had to set the camera up, make sure she didn't knock it over because it wasn't on a steady platform, and then proceed to put her hands on her head like, oh no, I'm so sad, right? And I'm not saying that I know exactly what's going on in this woman's life and whether she's telling the truth or not, but there is a really weird factor to these videos of these women crying on camera so everyone can see them for sympathy and likes. But follow me here, guys. We're heading somewhere with this. So the caption on this video reads, sitting dysregulated in my home I fled to when I fled from him because the court gave him my address after being in protection for 2 years with the restraining order dropped only because of loopholes in the German system. So she's over there in Germany, apparently going through it. So we have our other typical video here. It wouldn't be a real divorce TikTok page without her crying into the camera like this. Again, guys, she pressed record right in time to catch that tear. That's that. I mean, this chick should have considered going to film school. I'm just saying, this is pretty good. You can't tell me this isn't cringe. You can't tell me this isn't cringe. But anyways, let's check out the caption. It says, nobody can prepare you for the fight for custody of the child you share with an abuser. And so she probably wants full custody of the child so that she could flee the country and come back to the United States. I don't know, I'm just guessing. But then, guys, it wouldn't be an official divorce TikTok page without some dance moves to go along with the sorrow. Let's check it out. Okay, so it says the court, wow, I'm so sorry. That must have been so hard for you to be depressed. Wow, wait, I think I might have missed something. It's okay, here we go. Start from the beginning here. It says, my abuser in court trying to gain sympathy for abusing me. And so the next caption says the court, and she's quoting the court here, right? Quoting the court saying, wow, I'm so sorry. That must have been so hard for you to be depressed. So they're speaking to her husband here. Hypothetically, she's saying, wow, you abused them and expensive for you to be here. So let me drop the protection order and tell you their home address, workplace, and preschool too. And so I'm not like, of course, I think all these posts are pretty ridiculous. But again, I don't know this personal lady's situation exactly, but I do know, because I searched a little bit more on her page, that she said the worst type of abuse is the type of abuse that leaves no bruises. And so she's talking about emotional abuse. So based on that and threats that she said her ex-husband made and such, she is seeking full custody of the child. And she's frustrated. Here it comes. Here's the video. Here's the real video I want to play. She's frustrated with the fact that she can get her desired result. And so an attorney who's actually featured on the Coffee Pod a couple of times, you guys will probably recognize her, explained that it's not always easy to use the excuse of abuse to get full custody of your children. And here's why. So the ex-wife with the TikTok who's trying to get full custody of her children is getting advice from her audience, and they're saying things like, you have to record him in the act of abusing your kids, whatever. And she's like, the court is set up against believing women. And then the attorney pretty much duets that video and gives her take. Let's get it.
This belief, this core belief that both parents deserve an equal right to their child, despite. Hey there, here I am again, the Truth Fairy. Someone tagged me in this video and I watched it, and I watched the rest of this woman's videos. And I see videos like this a lot on TikTok. And so I thought I would do a comment about it. And I think I may have done a video about this in the past. There is something that I think lots of parents who are going through the court system and have abuse allegations, I think there's something fundamentally that y'all are missing, and it's probably not something you would ever contemplate. Um, from the court system's perspective, and my practice is, I want to say, at least 75% involving child custody and nasty child custody. You would be shocked at how many parents, and this is by and large women, when they're going through a divorce, all of a sudden they start accusing their husband of abuse.
Would we be shocked? Would we really be shocked here on the Coffee Pod? No. Let's keep watching.
And that is not to demean anybody whose children are actually being abused. What I'm trying to emphasize is that there is an astronomical number of people that fake it. And they go to great lengths to fake it because maybe they're mad about the marriage, or they genuinely don't believe that their husband should have any parenting time with the kids. And so they do a couple of things that I can get into.
Let's get into it.
Maybe in another video.
No.
The point is that people fake this all the time. So even now, as a divorce lawyer who's been practicing for 15 years, I'm kind of embarrassed to say that it's so common that people fake abuse, that when people come in and they tell me, I think my husband is being inappropriate with my kids, or I think he's them, or I think has a addiction, or to that effect, I almost immediately go into, I need to vet this mode. And so I start asking them what evidence they have and what they've done about it. And if they haven't ever told a counselor, if they've been letting the children spend time alone with the husband, things like that, it just further supports my unfortunate gut reaction that they are fabricating an abuse allegation for purposes of custody. So
evil.
When I get into those cases, and I think this is what this mom is experiencing, you really have to have the right professionals in place. When you start taking advice from people on the internet about how to document abuse, it is going to backfire on you. Anybody that has been my client that has ever tried to give me a recording will tell you that my advice is, generally, recordings are worse for you than they are for the other parent. And she made a reference to that in one of her videos where she said, yes, you have recordings, but you prompted them. And that typically is the case. It's very rare that a child just off the cuff says something and someone just happens to have their telephone handy and catches it. Usually it is a follow-up of, tell me what daddy did. Tell me what you saw. Where were you standing? Show me how daddy did you. Usually that's how it goes. And what it looks like is coaching. And so you really need to, if this is a legitimate concern, number one, you have to get a good lawyer. You have to get a good lawyer that is well-versed in dealing with child custody, and specifically in Georgia, we call it DFACS, the Child and Family Services System, because chances are they're going to be involved at some point in time. And chances are you don't want them to be involved because it's going to go a different route than you want it to. Second, you need to make sure you have a good counselor involved. And that counselor needs to be a professional that follows ethical rules, that will talk to both parents and make sure parents are kept informed. Otherwise, it looks like they're biased and they're one-sided. and that knows the court system and how to deal with abuse allegations, specifically a counselor that specializes in abuse and has good credentials. Um, and third, you need to be prepared that there's going to be a third party investigating the situation. And that is probably going to be, Georgia, we call it a guardian ad litem. I think that's a common terminology, but that's typically what happens. And if the abuse is there, you can prove it. If your abuse allegations is supported only by recordings that you made or just concerns that you have, no one's going to buy that. She's right about that. You do have to have proof and you do have to have evidence. And what evidence and what proof you have matters. And if you are setting it up as you're the collector of all the proof, and the proof is you recording your child answering questions that you ask them, be prepared for that to backfire. And it sounds like that's what happened in this case. So I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not going to give her any legal advice, but I would hope that there are some professionals that are in place other than these two parents. Because if you can't back these allegations up, what you risk is running into an allegation against you that you're alienating the children or that you are not willing to foster the other parent's relationship with the child. Abuse allegations are very serious. They are taken very seriously. And if you make them without evidence and you can't back it up, you need to be prepared for that to backfire on you. So I hope that helps somebody. If anything, make sure you have a good lawyer and that you find a good lawyer that someone has used before in a similar fact pattern and that they know what they're doing. That's the best thing I can tell you to do because you're going to need a good lawyer in that situation. I hope that helps someone.
Wow. Nobody wants a situation where somebody who is being abused isn't getting the justice that they deserve. Nobody wants that. Now, shifting back to what she said earlier on in her video, which I just think is so important, because a lot of times they'll call men crazy for saying my ex-wife lied that I did this, or, you know, that silver bullet that lawyers coined, the strategies that they will use to get you out of the house or gain full custody, where they will claim abuse. They'll think men are lying when they say, I was set up. That's not true. She made that up. To know that that's really that prevalent in a lot of divorces is really a scary thing. And I'm talking about the false allegations, because you got to really think of how that plays out. If you are guilty and they find you guilty, your life is changed forever. But if you're being falsely accused and she's making lies up, and she's proven to be making lies up, in most cases, she doesn't face any penalties for that. I mean, she talked about the alienation thing on here, but how many times does that really happen? Let's check out some of these comments, man, see what the people have to say. Guys, I'm really curious to know what you think about this particular topic. Have you experienced this yourself? And if you have, share it down below. How'd you get out of it? How were you negatively affected? Let's check out some of these comments. First comment here says, divorce attorney here. So just another divorce attorney. He says, I agree. I always carefully vet allegations because false ones are very common, unfortunately. And what did she say? Very common from the women. Another comment here says, the parents making false accusations of abuse muddy the waters for and take up valuable court time for legitimate abuse allegations. Shut up. See, she's completely ignoring she's talking about the parents making false allegations. No, talk about the women making false allegations. Nah, we're drinking coffee over here. Another comment here says, my attorney called it the silver bullet, in quotations. She warned me my wife would do it before she even did it. She warned me my wife would do it before she even did it. She warned me she would do it. These are the type of things you got to watch out for. From what I've heard, women, they plan divorces a year in advance, 6 months in advance. She's talking to a divorce attorney before she tells you about the papers that she's going to serve you for the divorce. Another comment here says, the exact thing happened to me. The mother. No proof. Never mentioned this prior. I had to go to great lengths just to prove that never happened. Sad. It's like we have a woman here who also went through the same thing. By the way, shout out to the attorney I just reacted to. She's talked about a couple of like really controversial topics before, and I believe she's married too. Here's another comment that says, even bringing it up, people want to call you a victim blamer. You will be called a victim blamer. Just having the conversation. Another person here says their lawyers are telling them to do that. Here's somebody else who says, lawyer here, you are very, 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 that's a lot of very, in parentheses, unfortunately, right. Another comment here says, yes, this happened to my husband. She worked so hard to try to make up stories and come up with, in quotes, proof. Another thing I've noticed is that like the women who get married to a man who's remarrying, they usually get a real firsthand experience to a lot of these issues. Another man here says, if the allegations are false, are there consequences for the party making the false accusations? He wants to know. Another person responded and said, no, there aren't. My ex made false allegations. They were disregarded and she didn't get anywhere with them, but there were no sanctions against her. It's unfortunate. And what if they were true? Then his life would have been severely affected. Of course, guys, I'm curious to know, what do you think of this topic? Leave your thoughts, comments down below. As always, I appreciate you for checking out yet another episode of the Coffee Pod. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.